I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about should you ignore your ex? So one of the things that is really confusing to people in no contact is if and when they should ignore their ex. If their ex reaches out, what do they reply to? Every situation is different because some of you are in situations where you haven't heard from your ex in months. Some of you are hearing from your ex on a daily or a weekly basis. Now, we always try and tell you from the standpoint of, you haven't heard from this person in a while, and then they reach out to you. There are situations where people breadcrumb you. And obviously, we don't want you to tolerate being breadcrumbed for a long time. That can leave you frustrated and stuck for a long time. But for the most part, in many cases, we're going to see no contact happen for months before an ex finally reaches out. They often do what I call the indirect direct approach, where they message you directly, but they're indirect about what they actually want. They say something like, I miss the cat. They ask you a silly question that they could get the answer to, or maybe they even know somebody that they could get that answer from other than you. So it can be really confusing as to when you should ignore your ex. We here at the channel try and help you guys act like adults and be accountable, responsible adults, because that is really what's going to lead to a healthy relationship and turning your relationship or breakup around. Playing petty games, being immature, that is not usually going to make things better. It often makes things worse. People can kind of see through that stuff, or they'll at least be suspicious, and they're going to be a lot less likely to come back if you're trying to play some kind of game with them. Maybe you're going to try and do the scramble technique, where you're going to scramble their mind, or something like that. But we're trying to teach you, when you go no contact, you're simply not reaching out to them. You're allowing them to do the reaching out when they want to talk to you. You're respecting their decision, you're respecting yourself, and you're not chasing someone who has ended the relationship. I know it's very confusing. I've been there. I've been doing this for a long time. And of course, if you want to get my help personally, you could do that on the website, sign up for a coaching, and we could talk about everything, or we could do an email coaching. This particular email coaching is from a guy in his mid-20s. We'll call him Wayne. And he said he has recently gone through a breakup after a 6-year connection with a woman. Okay, he didn't say how old she was, so I'm going to assume she's around the same age. Now, about 3 of those years, they were friends first. So that's good because you know what the person is like. When you're friends with somebody first and then it blossoms into romance, that's always a good thing because you kind of know the person better and you respect them more. Because you really valued and cared about them and that friendship before the romance. A lot of times if you're just on dating apps or hooking up with people you don't really know, they're going to see you as more disposable because they don't really value you or know you or how you're going to show up in their life. So they were dating for about 3 years and friends for about 3 years. He says, the breakup followed a pattern you often describe in your videos, with her slowly pulling away while I tried to hold on. The breakup period lasted about 3 weeks from the first serious talk to the final decision. It's been a week since then. I was caught off guard because I was happy in the relationship, but she said she felt neglected. Okay, so what does that tell you? He's happy. She's feeling neglected. So right off the bat, it makes me wonder if he was more avoidant and was neglecting her needs, and she was sacrificing what she wanted or needed from him and tolerating less than what she wanted just to stay with him. I see these kind of breakups all the time, and often people get to a breaking point where they can't take it anymore. He says, looking back, I can see how I took her love for granted. And this is big. I tell you guys all the time, don't take someone for granted. It is one of the biggest things you could do wrong in a relationship. If you take someone for granted, it's going to lead to a lot of poor behaviors. You're going to treat them poorly with your attitude. You're not going to give them what they need. You're not going to value them because you think that they're going to tolerate it and stay no matter what. So I highly recommend you always are appreciative and come from a place where you're appreciative to have someone in your life. Take them for granted and you're going to regret it. She's more anxiously attached and I'm more avoidant, which definitely played a role. Something I want to work on during no contact. Well, this is absolutely critical for a breakup like this because she's been frustrated by this guy's behavior for a long time, and we don't have any specifics yet, but it's clear that she's been frustrated and feeling neglected, and she couldn't take it anymore because he's even acknowledging that he took her for granted. So he's got to stay absolutely laser focused on personal growth, overprepare, do the creative healing course or the workbooks, 30 minutes a day. It's going to put you in a far better position to turn it around when they come back because it's really doing the work. It's not just saying you're doing the work and then watching no contact videos. I also think other stressors like family and work pushed her to feel that she needed to change. Sadly, that change was me. Well, there's probably truth to that, but usually in a situation like this, it's been going on for so long, and he's known her for 6 years, that this has been building up, and it's not so much about what's going on with those things. Of course, she'll be impacted by it, though. During those final weeks, I tried different approaches, like giving her space, talking, reconnecting, but in the end, she became distant and told me to move on. Now, I wish we had done a Skype call because I have a lot of questions that I would like to ask in what happened in that period and what she was telling him, because I don't really know what happened, why she told him to move on. Was he pressuring? I get a sense he must be doing some kind of pressuring for answers there for her to say that. She said she didn't want me to wait because it would make her feel guilty and she couldn't promise she'd ever want to come back. Okay, so that also tells me he was probably saying things that might have made her feel like, oh, geez, if I don't tell him to move on, he's going to be waiting for me, and I don't want to have that pressure of having to come back. I'm ending this. I want to feel like I'm free and over this, not that he's just sitting around and I have to think about him waiting and sitting around. It's not going to help create attraction. So don't think about doing that, guys. It's not going to work. It'll backfire. At that point, I realized there wasn't much I could do, so I told her I'd respect her wishes. The next day, I sent my final message, letting her know I needed space, even though she wanted to stay friends. Well, do you really need space? You don't really need space. I don't know why you said that. Hope you didn't get that from another channel. Sometimes other people will tell you to tell them that you need space and that you're happy that the breakup happened. Never say something like that to your ex. Trust me, it doesn't usually go well. I've heard many people advised, tell your ex that you're happy that the breakup happened and that it needed to happen. You don't need to say stuff like that. It's going to make things messy, and it could really upset your ex in a way that they're not going to want to come back. So if you hear somebody tell you to say that, I highly recommend you don't. Since then, I've been in no contact, even ignoring a message that didn't need a reply. Okay. But she may have been making a bid to connect with you again. So I don't want you to ignore somebody. You know, if she's looking for excuses to connect, it might be because she misses you. Now, of course, I don't want you to be breadcrumbed. I don't want you to tolerate all kinds of messages from someone that is breadcrumbing you. But at some point, you're going to have to say, look, I can't just be friends with you. So reach out to me if you want to see me or if you'd like to get together. A few days after that, I started watching your videos, and they've helped me commit to no contact, but I'd appreciate some guidance. Okay, so maybe he was watching other people's videos that he had needed space. And maybe that's also why he was ignoring the messages. Since I didn't leave things totally clear in our last message, I'm unsure how to handle future messages. And I get it. It's scary and it's confusing for you guys. You guys aren't used to dealing with breakups in these kind of situations. Everything feels like a big mistake. And quite honestly, you have to be very careful because little things can make a big difference when you're trying to reattract somebody. If I respond, I worry she won't miss me or feel the separation anxiety. But I've also heard you say not to ignore her. I also wasn't clear about not wanting to be friends now. I know that's not something I want, but I don't feel right reaching out just to say that. I'm afraid she might try to be friendly again soon. Okay, let's talk about a couple of these things here. Yes, we do tell you not to ignore an ex. If you're getting in a situation where you're really getting breadcrumbed and you've already told them to, reach out when they want to see you, at some point you're going to have to reinforce that a couple times, and then you might have to start ignoring somebody if they're really, ignoring your boundaries. As far as reaching out to tell her that you don't want to be friends, no, you don't need to do that. We don't recommend you reach out to an ex to say something like that. Now, you're worried about responding and that she won't miss you or feel the separation anxiety if you respond. Well, it's that anxiety that she's feeling that is making her reach out to connect with you. You don't want to come on too strong and start vomiting your feelings, but you do want to try and set a date with her to hang out and have a good time. So I don't want you to ignore somebody when they're doing that. They might not reach out again. It's okay if she wants to connect with you. It's that you have to direct it into the direction that you're wanting to go, meaning not friendship. To complicate things, I moved to her country about 1.5 years ago specifically for her. Now I'm moving back home for a few months, but I'll return to her country due to my visa. Okay, so that obviously complicates things, but a lot of people get scared and feel like they have to do something in these situations in a certain window of time. I totally get it, but he's coming back, so it's nothing to really stress about anyway. I wonder if the distance will help or hurt, or whether she might move on or meet someone new. Well, I don't really know why she was so unhappy. I do think that you probably neglected her. I don't know specifics. That would make a difference into what her thinking is and to why this didn't work out. She said she wanted to be alone, but I know anxious types sometimes don't stay single for long. Well, it depends upon the person and the situation, and if they felt like they did things wrong here too, they could hold themselves accountable and not be ready to jump into something new either. Do you have any thoughts on timing, whether I should go back sooner or just wait? Do what you're going to do. Don't change the plans or whatever you're going to do as far as traveling or different countries based on what she's doing. Handle it however you were going to normally handle it. I have to return either way, and she knows that. Since we were close friends before dating and had a loving relationship, I know I still matter to her. The breakup was fairly amicable. I told her I understood, and she said she'd never block me or delete our photos. I also supported her through a tough depression early on in the relationship, which she was grateful for. All this makes me feel like she might miss me sooner than later, but she did say she'd need months before considering any relationship. Okay, so that tells me you were probably trying to talk to her about those things, probably before you got to our channel or maybe when you were watching other coaches, and they were suggesting you talk about those things. But guys, you got to be very, very careful on where you're getting your information. Okay? I see a lot of people advertising this stuff now, but they don't really have any experience. I'm constantly seeing on social media people talking about no contact. Well, they don't have any education or experience with this. They just come on board and sell all kinds of products and give you bad information that we certainly would not tell you to do, because that can tell you a lot about a person and the integrity that they have and things of that nature. Not always, but it's something to consider, right? Margaret thought very long and hard before coming on board here and joining the channel. Her and I talked about things for a long time as we were discussing topics every week and my approach to breakups and the things we were going to bring to the table and talk about every week. So it was a slow process. And even if you go back and listen to me talking about her, I was talking about her for a couple of years before she was able to come on board. Now, she had a big health issue before she was actually supposed to start coaching, and that pushed us back like at least another 6 months. And I was really worried about her at that point. But my point is that Margaret had a lot of integrity in the way we approach things, and the only reason she came on board to help do what we did is because she absolutely believed in the help that we were providing for you guys. Okay? And even when we brought on Coach Victoria, she was training for years before she came on and was in any videos. In fact, she was at my house the first day I was filming, and she helped me create the workbooks long before she came on board. And even in regards to coaching, she had finished her master's degree and had done lots of training with Margaret and myself. So just understand that we come from a place that we are looking out for your best interest and won't tell you to do anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. It's really important that you understand that, because when we're talking to you guys and coaching you, we want to put ourselves in that situation so we feel comfortable about what we're doing, right? We want to feel confident in the strategies we're giving you. Okay, a little bit more here. I've stepped off social media to manage anxiety and focus on healing. This process has been incredibly difficult. Loss of appetite, nauseous, and other symptoms, but I'm feeling a bit better now. Any advice would really mean a lot. Okay, so this is a breakup that I see fairly often. Now, he didn't give me the specifics of why she was unhappy, so I don't really know what kind of neglect was going on there. And that is obviously something that he's got to really consider. And he's got to think about what he will do differently to reattract her. It's okay for you to reply to somebody when they reach out. You don't want to look eager. You don't want to look desperate. You don't want to vomit your feelings all over somebody. But you do want to respond. And ultimately, you want to try and set up a time to hang out and have a great time and reconnect with them in a way that doesn't feel like a lot of pressure. But if you ignore someone, there's a good chance they may not reach out again because they're hurt or scared or feeling like you hate them. A lot of times an ex thinks, man, I thought you hated me. I reached out to you when you didn't reply, so I figured you didn't want to hear from me again. So unless it's a breadcrumb situation, I think you should respond to somebody. You might have to set some boundaries there, but responding is okay. You know, I know he's thinking, well, if I respond now, she's not going to miss me. Well, what's the alternative? Ignoring her and then her thinking you're not interested or that you're upset, or, you know, her being afraid to reconnect with you again because of the rejection. Remember, rejection causes us physical pain. At some point, you might have to reiterate that you're not interested in just friendship, but like I said, don't reach out to her to do that. Let her reach out, and if you try and set something with her and she says no, that's when you might have to do it there. A lot going on here, and maybe he'll sign up for a Skype to talk about the details and let me know some of those things so we can get into more of the specifics, because I do have some questions as to what happened there. But Hopefully this one's been helpful to you guys. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.